This is Everyday Tension. Real stories based on real experiences about everyday conflicts people rarely talk about. This story was shared anonymously. If you'd like, you can support the channel by liking or subscribing and let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Here's what happened.
We got married on a Tuesday. It was just us, the judge, and 2 witnesses from the courthouse staff. I wore a cream-colored suit I'd owned for years. Jack wore his only good navy blazer. We held hands while the judge spoke, and my fingers were cold. Jack's were warm and dry. Afterwards, we went to a diner we both liked and had pancakes. It wasn't the wedding you see in movies. It was quiet. It felt like a secret, a private agreement we were making with each other. We'd been together for 4 years by then. I'd watched him navigate his life as a widower, a father of 3 grown kids who seemed to orbit him like distant, demanding moons. He was always tired. A kind, deep-set tired that I recognized because I felt it too. From my own life, my own past. We were 2 people who had decided, later than most, to stop being alone. The honeymoon was Jack's idea. He'd saved for it. A real break, he said. Somewhere with no memories attached. He chose the Bahamas, a villa, not a hotel room. He showed me the pictures on the rental website. It was a small, whitewashed place with a terrace that looked over the water. It had a kitchenette. He said he wanted to make coffee for me in the mornings. That was the detail that got me, the simplicity of it. Coffee, on a terrace, with no one needing anything from either of us for 7 whole days. The flight was long. We held hands on the plane. He fell asleep with his head against the window. I watched him sleep and thought about his kids. Sarah, the oldest at 28. Michael, 25. Chloe, 22. I'd met them all, of course. Dinners that were polite and strained. Conversations that hit dead ends. They were never outright rude to me. Not at first. It was more a constant, low-grade chill. A sense of appraisal. I was 52 when I met Jack. He was 55. His wife, Elise, had died 6 years before from a sudden, aggressive cancer. She was 49. In their eyes, I was not her. I understood that. I didn't try to be. But I think my mere presence was a problem. It made things permanent. While Jack was alone, there was a space she still occupied. With me there, the space was filled by someone else. The villa was even better than the pictures. It was clean and bright and quiet. The sound of the waves was constant, a soft hush. We unpacked. We changed into lighter clothes. We walked to a little market and bought groceries, bread, fruit, eggs, coffee. That first evening, we sat on the terrace and drank wine. We didn't talk much. The quiet between us was comfortable. It was the quiet of people who don't need to fill the space. I remember feeling a loosening in my chest, a physical sensation of a knot coming undone. For the first time in years, maybe, I wasn't braced for something. The second day was the same. Slow. We slept late. We made breakfast. We read books side by side on lounges by the small private beach. Jack reached over and put his hand on my ankle. Just left it there. I felt seen and safe. It's a feeling I don't have a lot of words for. It was just a fact, like the sun being warm. On the morning of the 3rd day, the doorbell rang. We both looked at each other. No one knew we were here, except my sister, and we'd asked her not to call unless it was an emergency. The rental agency said they wouldn't disturb us. Jack got up from the table where we were finishing coffee. He looked puzzled. He opened the door, and there they were, all three of them. Sarah, Michael, Chloe. They were smiling, but it was a tight, bright smile. They had suitcases. "Surprise!" Sarah said. Her voice was too loud for the quiet morning. Jack just stood there. I could see his back. It went very straight. "What are you doing here?" he asked. His voice was flat. "We wanted to celebrate with you," Chloe said, stepping forward and peering around Jack to look at me. "We thought it would be fun, a family honeymoon." I put my coffee cup down. The ceramic made a sharp sound on the glass table. Jack didn't move out of the doorway. "This is our honeymoon," he said. "We plan to be alone." "Oh, don't be such a downer, Dad," Michael said. He shifted his weight. He was a big guy, like his father, but where Jack's size seemed solid, Michael's always seemed to be leaning into your space. "We flew all this way. We got a room at the resort down the beach. We just came to say hi." It was a lie. I knew it immediately. The way they were clustered, the suitcases, the eager, invasive energy. They hadn't come just to say hi. Jack must have known it too, but he was their father. The habits of a lifetime are hard to break. He sighed, a short, tired sound. Then he stepped back. "Come in for a minute, I guess." They filed in. The villa felt instantly smaller. They looked around, their eyes taking in the space, the view, the half-eaten breakfast on the table. "Nice place," Sarah said. Her tone made it sound like an accusation. "Thanks," I said. I stood up. I didn't know what else to do. "Would you like some coffee? We have extra." "We ate at the resort," Chloe said, still looking at me. "It's really nice. Much bigger than this. More of a social scene. You guys might like it better over there." It was the first jab, polite on the surface. I felt it land. "We like it here," Jack said. He had moved to stand beside me, not touching me, but close. "So, what's the plan?" Michael asked, dropping onto our sofa. It creaked under him. "We were thinking we could all do a boat tour today. There's one that leaves at 11. We don't have a plan," I said. My voice sounded strange to me, too quiet. The plan was to have no plan. Michael laughed. It wasn't a friendly sound. "Sounds boring. Come on, live a little. You're not that old." There it was, the word. It hung in the air. Old. Sarah shot him a look, but it didn't seem like a warning. It seemed like she was watching to see my reaction. I felt my face get warm. I looked at Jack. His jaw was tight. "We're fine here," Jack said. "You kids go enjoy your tour." "Don't be like that, Dad," Sarah said. She walked over to the terrace doors and looked out. "We came all this way to be with you. It's your honeymoon. We should be part of it." The logic of it was so selfish it was almost breathtaking. I realized then that this was the point. To insert themselves. To mark their territory. This wasn't a surprise visit. It was an invasion. "This is private time for me and my wife," Jack said. The word wife was new. He said it firmly. Chloe turned from looking at our bookshelf. "It's just weird, you know, to think of you as someone's husband again. It's so fast. It had been 4 years. 6 since Elise died." I didn't say anything. I was trying to hold on to my composure. I was trying to be the adult, the understanding one. I thought if I could just be calm, be polite, the tension would ease. It was a naive thought. "It's not fast," Jack said. His voice was low. "And it's not your business." "Everything about you is our business," Michael said from the couch. He said it casually, as if it were the most obvious truth in the world. The room went very quiet. The sound of the waves seemed to fade. Jack took a step forward. "No," he said. "It's not." For a second, no one spoke. The challenge was in the air. Then Sarah broke it with a forced laugh. God, everyone is so serious. We're just teasing, lighten up. She came over and looped her arm through Jack's. We're happy for you, Dad. Really, we just miss you. We feel like we never see you since she came around. She didn't look at me when she said I was a pronoun. A thing. Jack extracted his arm from hers. You see me. You choose not to, unless you need something. That stung them. I saw it on their faces, a flicker of genuine anger, quickly masked. That's not fair, Chloe said, her voice becoming whiny. You're always busy with her. I'm building a life, Jack said. A new one. You're adults. You're supposed to be doing the same. With what money? Michael muttered, almost under his breath. And there it was. The core of it. The money. Jack had done well. He'd provided for them, generously. Even as adults, they had allowances, credit cards he paid, help with rent. Elise had wanted them to be comfortable. Jack had continued it, partly out of guilt, partly out of not knowing how to stop. It was an umbilical cord made of cash. Jack heard him. He turned his head slowly. What did you say? Michael looked up, defiant. I said, with what money? Not all of us have a cushy retirement lined up. Some of us have to actually work. You don't work, Jack said. His voice was dangerously calm. You quit your last job because you didn't like the hours. I've been paying your rent for 8 months. So. Michael's face was red. Mum would have wanted you to take care of us. Your mother would have wanted you to be a man, Jack said. The words were harsh. I'd never heard him speak to them like that. She wouldn't recognize you right now. The air was sucked out of the room. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. Sarah's face was a hard mask. How dare you? Sarah whispered. I dare, Jack said. Now, I think you should go. Go back to your resort. Let us have our honeymoon. They didn't move. They were like statues, shocked into immobility by his resistance. This wasn't the script. The script was that Jack would sigh, give in, and include them. He would absorb their comments and their neediness, as he always had. I finally found my voice. It came out thin. Maybe this was a bad idea. The surprise. It's a lot. All three of them looked at me. The focus of their anger shifted instantly, like a spotlight. No one asked you, Michael said. This is between us and our dad, Sarah said. Chloe just stared at me, her tears now spilled over. You've changed him. You've made him cruel. I felt a cold numbness spread through me. This was hatred, plain and simple. It wasn't grief for their mother. It was a hatred for me, for my existence in their father's life. Jack moved. He stepped completely in front of me, putting his body between me and them. You do not speak to her like that, he said. His voice wasn't loud. It was like iron. Ever. Or what? Michael sneered, standing up from the couch. He towered over Jack, but Jack didn't flinch. Or you will learn what happens when you disrespect my wife, Jack said. Now, get out. We're not leaving, Sarah said, crossing her arms. We have every right to be here. We're your family. She is my family, Jack said, jerking his thumb back at me. You are my children, and right now, you are acting like spoiled strangers. Get out. They still didn't move. Not of physical violence, but of the ugliness, the sheer, tearing meanness of it. Then Chloe did something. She walked to the kitchenette, picked up a glass from the counter, one of the cheap rental glasses, and looked right at me. He'll choose us, she said. Then she threw the glass onto the tile floor. It shattered. The sound was violently loud in the small space. Shards skittered across the floor towards my bare feet. That was it. The line. Something in Jack broke. Or maybe something snapped into place. The patient, compromised father was gone. His face didn't contort in rage. It went still and cold. He looked at each of them, one by one. He didn't say another word to them. He walked to the phone on the wall. He picked it up. He dialed a number. "Security," he said when someone answered. His voice was clear and calm. "This is Villa 7. I have 3 trespassers here, refusing to leave. They are being destructive and abusive. I need them escorted off the property immediately. Yes. Now." He hung up. The kids' faces were pictures of disbelief. "You're calling security?" Sarah shrieked. "On us, your own children." "You stopped acting like my children about 10 minutes ago," Jack said. He didn't raise his voice. "You're guests who have overstayed their welcome and become hostile. You will leave with security, or the next call is to the local police." Michael started yelling then. A stream of curses, accusations, that Jack was a terrible father, that I was a gold digger, that we deserved each other. Jack just listened, his arms crossed, standing between me and the broken glass. It took about 5 minutes for security to arrive. 2 men in uniforms. They looked confused, seeing a family standoff. "These people are not welcome here," Jack said to them, his tone formal. "They have damaged property and are harassing us. Please see them off the premises. If they attempt to return, you have my permission to involve the authorities." "Dad, you can't do this." Chloe was sobbing now, for real. "Watch me," Jack said. The security guards were hesitant, but Jack was the registered guest. He was calm and authoritative. They turned to the kids. "Folks, you need to come with us." There was more yelling, more pleading. Jack was unmovable. A war. I watched from behind him, my hand on his back. I could feel the tension in his muscles, hard as rock. Finally, humiliated, furious, and crying, they were shepherded out by the security guards. One of them looked back at the broken glass. "We'll send housekeeping," he said to Jack, apologetically. Jack just nodded. The door closed. The silence that followed was thicker than before. It was ringing with the echoes of their voices. The glass glittered on the floor. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. I started to shake. Jack turned around. He looked at me. His eyes were exhausted but clear. "Are you okay?" he asked. I nodded, though I wasn't. You called security." "I should have done it the moment they walked in," he said. He walked to the kitchen, found a dustpan and brush, and knelt down to sweep up the glass. I watched him. The careful, methodical movements. He didn't say anything else until every shard was in the trash. Then he stood up, washed his hands, and came back to me. He took my hands in his. They were still warm. "I am so sorry," he said. His voice cracked. "I am so sorry you had to see that. I am so sorry they said those things to you." "It's not your fault," I whispered. "Yes, it is," he said. "I allowed it. I let them think their behavior had no consequences. I didn't set boundaries, because it was easier, because I felt guilty. I failed them, and I failed you." He took a deep breath. "It stops today." He let go of my hands and went back to the phone. "Who are you calling now?" I asked. "The bank," he said. He put the phone on speaker. He went through the automated system, then spoke to a representative. He gave his information. He asked to speak to a manager. When the manager came on, his voice was all business. "I need to cancel 3 credit cards immediately," he said. He recited the numbers from memory. Sarah's, Michael's, Chloe's, effective right now, and I am revoking all authorized user access on any of my accounts. No exceptions, the manager confirmed. Asked about fraud. Jack said, "No fraud. A change in family circumstances." His voice was steady. He hung up. Then he called his financial advisor, left a message saying all monthly transfers to his children's accounts were to cease immediately. He would call back to confirm. He did all of this in about 15 minutes. He was methodical. He wasn't angry in that moment. He was decisive. When he was done, he sat down at the table. He put his head in his hands. I sat across from him. I didn't know what to say. My mind was reeling. The speed of it. The finality. "They'll be stranded," I finally said. "Their flight home wasn't for 5 more days. They had a resort room, but no way to pay for it now. No way to pay for food, for anything." "They have their own savings accounts," Jack said, not looking up. "They have jobs, or they can get jobs. They'll have to figure it out. They'll hate you." He lifted his head. His eyes were red. "They already do, in a way. They hate anything that challenges their comfort. They hated you because you represented a change. Now they'll hate me for taking away their safety net. But maybe they need to hate me for a little while. Maybe they need to feel what it's like without me constantly cushioning their fall." He looked out at the water. "I love their mother so much. When she died, I think I tried to love them enough for both of us. But I got it wrong. Loving them meant giving them everything. It didn't. It meant helping them grow up. I didn't do that. I failed her too." I reached across the table and took his hand. "You didn't fail anyone. You were grieving. That's not an excuse anymore," he said. He squeezed my hand. "I have you now, and I have to do right by you. That means creating a life with you that they cannot sabotage. That means showing them that cruelty to you is the one thing I will not tolerate, even from them." We sat there for a long time. The honeymoon was ruined, of course. The calm was shattered, but something else had been built in its place, something harder and stronger. A boundary made of steel. We didn't leave the villa that day. Housekeeping came and cleaned up. We tried to read. We tried to talk about normal things, but our minds were back on the mainland, with the 3 furious, panicking young adults who had just had their world upended. Jack's phone started ringing in the afternoon. He looked at the screen. It was Sarah. He silenced it, then Michael, then Chloe, then Sarah again. Text started buzzing in. "Dad, call me. The cards are declined. What did you do? We're at the restaurant and they won't let us leave. This is insane. Answer your phone." He read them, his face impassive. He didn't reply. He turned his phone off completely. "They'll have to call their bank, use their own debit cards," he said. "They all have money. They just don't want to spend their money." The calls started coming to my phone. I showed Jack. He said, "You don't have to answer. You don't owe them anything." I turned my phone off too. That night, we tried to sleep. I lay awake for hours, listening to the waves, seeing Chloe's face as she threw the glass, hearing Michael's voice. With what money? I wondered what they were doing. Were they scared? Were they pooling cash to pay their resort bill? Were they calling friends for help? I felt a pang of something that might have been guilt, but then I remembered the look in their eyes when they looked at me. The pure contempt, the desire to hurt. The guilt faded, replaced by a dull, sore anger. The next few days were strange. We were in paradise, but we were under siege from a distance. We left the villa only to take short walks on the beach, early in the morning or late in the evening, when we were less likely to run into them. We didn't see them. We assumed they'd figured something out. Jack checked his email once a day on the villa's computer. There was a flurry of panicked emails from the kids, then angry ones, then pleading ones. He read them, his mouth a tight line, and deleted them without replying. "They're at the airport," he said one morning, 2 days before we were due to leave. Sarah emailed, "They're flying home standby, using points from their own accounts." They had to check out of the resort early. He said it without triumph. It was just a fact. The flight home was quiet. We were both exhausted, in a deep, soul-weary way. We held hands on the plane again, but this time it felt like we were holding on. The first month back was the hardest. The kids didn't come around. The silence from them was total. Jack's house, which was now our house, felt different. Lighter in a way, without the anticipation of their demands, but heavier with the absence. Jack threw himself into work. I worked too. We came home, made dinner, watched TV. We talked about mundane things. Cindy won with the same flower which has been doubted by his father. That, it seemed, was almost worse than the financial cutoff. Michael lost his apartment. He'd been spending 90% of his income on his social life, assuming the rent money from Jack would always come. It didn't. He had to move in with a friend, sleep on a couch. He got a job, finally, a real one, with long hours. He complained about it on social media, painting Jack as a cruel tyrant. Some of his friends agreed. Others were quietly judgmental of a 25-year-old who'd never really supported himself. Chloe, the youngest, took it the hardest. She was in her last year of college. Her tuition was paid through a separate fund, so that continued. But her spending money, her fancy groceries, her weekend trips, gone. She got a job at a coffee shop on campus. She called Jack once, crying, saying she was a laughingstock, that her friends felt sorry for her. Jack listened. He said, "I'm sorry you're embarrassed. Getting a job is nothing to be ashamed of." She hung up on him. Sarah, the most prideful, was the quietest. She had a decent job. She could support herself. But her lifestyle took a massive hit. No more designer bags. No more expensive bars. She didn't reach out at all. Jack grieved. I saw it. He'd sit in his chair in the living room, staring at nothing. He was wondering if he'd done the right thing. He was missing them. He was wondering if he'd lost them forever. I didn't try to talk him out of those feelings. They were his to feel. I just made sure he ate. I sat with him. I had my own doubts. Had I caused this? If I had never married him, would his relationship with his kids be intact? Were they right? Was I a disruptive force? The thoughts circled at night. But then I would think of the glass shattering at my feet, the sneer on Michael's face, the cold calculation in Sarah's eyes. They hadn't given me a chance, not from day one. They had decided I was the enemy. My marriage to their father was an act of war in their eyes. You can't make peace with someone who sees your existence as a declaration of war. After about 2 months, the first tentative contact came. Not a call. An email from Chloe. It was short. "Dad, I got my first real paycheck today. It wasn't much. I bought groceries with it. It felt weird. I just thought you should know." Jack read it a dozen times. He didn't reply immediately. He waited a day. Then he wrote back, "I'm proud of you. That's a good feeling, earning your own way. Let me know if you want to get coffee sometime." She didn't reply for a week. Then she wrote back, "Okay, maybe next weekend." They met at a diner halfway between her campus and our house. Jack went alone. I stayed home. He was gone for 2 hours. When he came back, he looked drained, but softer. "How was it?" I asked. "Hard," he said. She cried. She apologized. Not a full, clean apology, but she said she was sorry for how she acted on the trip. She said she was scared. She said they all were. Scared I'd forget their mom. Scared I'd replace them. He took off his coat. I told her I could never forget Elise, and I told her I wasn't trying to replace them. I was trying to add to my life, not subtract. I told her that being cruel to you was unacceptable, and that would never change. What did she say? She said she understood. I don't know if she really does yet, but she's trying. She looks older, tired. She looks like someone who works a job and goes to class. It suits her. That coffee was a crack in the wall. A week later, Michael called. He didn't apologize. He asked if he could come over and talk. Jack said yes. Michael came on a Sunday afternoon. He looked different too. Less puffy, leaner. His entitled swagger was gone. He was nervous. Jack talked to him in the living room. I stayed in the kitchen, giving them space, but I could hear the low murmur of voices. Michael's voice rose a few times, defensive. Then it got quieter. He was there for an hour. When he left, he nodded at me in the hallway. It wasn't friendly, but it wasn't hostile. It was an acknowledgement. He's paying his friend rent now, Jack told me later. He hates his job, but is keeping it. He said he didn't realize how much everything cost. He said he felt stupid. Sarah was the last holdout. It took another month. She sent a text, the most formal of all. Would you and my name be available for dinner next Friday? I'd like to talk. Jack showed me the text. We discussed it. We decided to go. We chose a neutral restaurant, a quiet one. It was awkward. Incredibly awkward. Sarah was stiff, polite. She asked about our work. She made small talk. It was like a business dinner. Halfway through the main course, she put her fork down. I'm sorry, she said. She was looking at her plate. For the honeymoon, for a lot of things. It was malicious. We planned it to make you uncomfortable. She finally looked at me. It was cruel, and it was wrong. I am sorry for my part in it. It wasn't warm, it was a statement of fact. But it was real. I could tell it cost her a lot to say it. Thank you, Sarah, I said. That means a lot. She nodded. She looked at Jack. Cutting us off, it was a shock. I was furious, but I've had time to think. We were like parasites. And we were mean. You didn't deserve that. She took a sip of water. I'm not asking for the cards back. I wanted to say I'm sorry, and I'd like to try to have some kind of relationship. On new terms. What terms? Jack asked, his voice gentle. Adult terms, she said, where I don't expect anything from you, where we respect your marriage. It was the best we were going to get. It was a start. That dinner didn't fix everything. Nothing was fixed. But it was a beginning of a new, slower, more careful dance. The kids didn't suddenly become loving, model children. They were who they were, flawed, sometimes selfish, often thoughtless. But the entitlement was gone. The assumption that Jack's money and Jack's life were theirs to manipulate was broken. They started coming over for dinner, one at a time, every few weeks. The conversations were stilted at first. We talked about their jobs, their friends, safe topics. They called me by my name. They didn't make jabs. It was civil. Over the next year, a new normal emerged. It wasn't the warm, close family Jack might have dreamed of. It was something more distant, but more honest. They were acquaintances who shared a history, learning how to be family again. There were setbacks. Michael would make a sarcastic comment, then catch himself and go quiet. Choli would sometimes look at me with a flicker of the old resentment before she looked away. Sarah was always a little formal with me. But they showed up. They paid their own way. They remembered our birthdays with cards, not extravagant gifts. They asked Jack for advice sometimes, not money. Jack still worried. He wondered if they really forgave him. He wondered if they still hated me, secretly. I wondered those things too. there were no answers. You don't get answers with things like this. You just get a daily practice of showing up and trying. The honeymoon was never something we could look back on with simple joy. It was the place where the worst happened. But it was also the place where Jack chose me, publicly, fiercely, and without compromise. He drew a line in the sand, and he stood on my side of it. That knowledge became a foundation stone of our marriage. It was messy and painful, but it was solid. Sometimes, late at night, I still see the glass shattering. I hear Chloe's voice. He'll choose us. But he didn't. He chose us, the new us, the couple we were becoming. He chose a future over a dysfunctional past. The kids learned a hard lesson about respect and consequences. We learned that protecting our bond sometimes means causing short-term pain. The family that exists now is quieter. It has scars. It doesn't look like a happy ending from a movie. It looks real. It's built on apologies that were given grudgingly, on change that was forced by necessity, on a respect that was earned through a kind of emotional attrition. I don't know if we'll ever be truly close. I don't know if the hurt will ever fully go away, for any of us. But we share a space now. A careful, respectful space. And sometimes, on a good day, that feels like enough. Jack and I have our coffee on the terrace at home now. It's not the Bahamas. The view is of our backyard. But it's quiet, and it's ours. And no one is coming to the door to take it away.